I have a few non-church buddies that have a tendency to keep me humble. Because they're always asking me, well, Reb, because they don't know anything about the church. They don't darken the door of the church. They say, hey, Reb, how's the church going? I said, it's going. I don't know how many people you get in there on Sunday. And I go, well, not a lot, but if you watch it, you see that there's people here, and it's kind of nice, and some people aren't ready to come back in public like that, so. And then they said, well, you know, Rev, and I said, well, you're welcome to come. And they said, well, you know, Sunday morning, I get up, pour myself a bowl of cereal, make some fresh coffee, maybe a mimosa if the day is right, keep my pajamas on, put my feet up, and turn you on TV. Why would I want to come to church? And I say, yeah, but do they have an offering plate on your kitchen table? Well, and it was funny because a week later I got a check in the mail. You know, you think Catholic guilt is good. Lutheran guilt doesn't do bad either, you know. It's good, yeah. So Thursday night, we have a nice service on Thursday night, and Irene walks in with her granddaughter, and she looks tired. And Irene just looks at me and says, Don, my dad just died. And I thought about Irene and what she's been through for the last 2 years. You know, I think of all the seasons of our life. You know, Peg and I were admiring the Malcolm mums in front of our house, and man, do they bloom, it looks good, and sometimes, you know, fall is maybe the favorite season. I used to think winter was my favorite season, but as I get older, not so much. Of course, there's spring when the flowers bloom and the grass is green, and you have the crack of the bat for spring training, and then there's summer, but I don't know what happened to summer this year. It's kind of the COVID pandemic summer, and it just kind of went by without being able to do many of the things that make summer so special. But in many ways, each one of you in your own way have had all kinds of seasons that are different. Some of the raw joy may have been taken out of the spring and summer and fall and winter. But I think many of you have had seasons of doubt. We have seasons of pain. I know many people, including myself sometimes, seasons of loneliness, seasons of sadness. I think a lot of people have had seasons of grief over losing a loved one, or just grief over not being able to do a lot of the things that we've often taken for granted. Seasons of battling illness, and like Irene on Thursday night, a season of loss. And she came to church just to sit and to get some strength to face the next day. And Irene is a lot like us. She's just a blue-collar, ordinary person. And yet, like many of you, she has a very sacred and unordinary calling. And her calling has been to be a caregiver. And that she has. As we think about the changing of the seasons this morning, as we think about all the seasons of our life, I think of the lesson that Linda just read, blessed are the poor and blessed are the meek, blessed are the humble, blessed are the peacemakers, but also blessed are the caregivers. I know a lot of you are. Irene has taken care of her dad. She has taken care of her brother, who has all kinds of issues. She has 3 grandkids living in her small home in Midlothian for the past several years. And in the middle of all that, she still tries to go to work. So she's spread pretty thin, as many of you are. And like all of us, she's trying to survive in a world that has been turned upside down and sideways for the past 8 months. I don't think there's a more sacred calling than when you need to be a caregiver for somebody else. Because what happens in your life is what happens in their life. And you step back, and suddenly their life becomes your life. Their comfort and their safety, their destiny, their journey is in your hands and God's hands. And you don't seek recognition, you probably don't get recognition, but there is no more important job in the world. You know, I think of Lori's family. We said goodbye to Lori Glut on Friday. Several months ago, her son Tommy was laid off from his job. And so he came back home at the very same time that he needed to be with his mom and his dad to take care of her. He left his job for the most sacred calling, to take care of his mom. And tomorrow we say goodbye to Lenny, Jackie Shembleski's sister. Jackie has been taking care of her 96-year-old mother, who is still living, her Down syndrome adult sister, and she even went to her boss. And she said, I can't work full-time. I have a full-time job taking care of my family. Can I work half-time? He said, you sure can work half-time. Just remember, I'm paying you full-time because of what you're going through. Now, those are the kind of stories that light my fire, that kind of generosity and dedication. And I've watched Peggy take care of her parents from afar. The phone calls, the one-day trips to Florida. It's hard. Finally, we were able to lay her dad to rest. But taking care of those you love is sacred. And it can stretch you pretty thin, but with God's help, and hopefully the help of people like us who pray for you, we get through it. I think of Jesus' calling. Jesus gave it all. He sacrificed his life that we might know every day that God's unconditional love is there. And he lets us know that there is no greater calling than loving and caring for somebody else. For everything, there is a season. And certainly for most of us, this has been a season of uncertainty. On the one hand, we got to be selfish. Got to take care of ourselves. Because if you get sick or I get sick, it affects a whole bunch of other people. So yes, we got to hunker down and take care of ourselves. But in the middle of all that, we can't stop giving. We can't stop caring. We can't stop sacrificing. Yes, in the middle of all that is a 104-year-old veteran who just wants some mail so that she knows that people care about her. There's a young lady named Shannon trying to take care of her child and all those expenses. Sure, she needs money, but what more than anything else, she needs to know that in her journey, she is not alone. And I guess for each one of us, I've just kind of had the philosophy, I just want to get through today so that I have the strength and the courage to face tomorrow, one day at a time. You see, yesterday is a memory, today is the moment, and tomorrow is the dream. So I guess in many ways, each one of us, we are called to be caregivers for each other. Amen. If you're able to, please rise for the creed.